Hello and welcome everybody to another StarCraft 2 game cast by Glitch. Today I'm bringing to you a ZVP on Metalopolis. Spawning in the 1 o'clock position as the blue Zerg, we have aAaNerchio. Spawning in the 3 o'clock position as the red Protoss, we have NightEnD. Nerchio is a player that I want to mention quite briefly. He's a player that actually, my very first game that I ever cast that I'm not even sure, I don't even think I ever posted on YouTube, but I think the very first game that I ever tried to cast was a game of Nerchio's, and at the time, of course, I had no idea who he was. But lately, he's been a player that all of a sudden I've been seeing him winning tournaments. He's won a lot of tournaments recently, smaller tournaments online, and I think in Europe. I think a lot of European tournaments. He might be a European player, I'm not sure. But like I said, he has been doing very well recently, and I've been seeing him come up, and every time I see him, I remember, man, that's the guy whose game I cast back when I had just started, and I was absolutely, well, more terrible than I am now. So yeah, I'm actually pretty excited to see Nerchio come up, just because I feel like he was kind of my first cast. So, as awkward as that sounds. Anyway, Nerchio has sent a Overlord, his first Overlord, down to this position and has scouted NightEnD. And if he scouts into the base, he has seen that NightEnD has not yet thrown down anything at all. And, still looks like he's sending out a probe just now to go start building what looks to be a gateway. Yes, we have seen a gateway now come down. And a pool has been thrown up by Nerchio. So it looks like Nerchio isn't going to be going for that fast hatchery style of play. Always a telling sign to see whether a Zerg player throws up that gas. If you just see them go for a pool and no gas, it is very common for Zerg players to go kind of for a halfway in between. It's a bit safer of a build than to go hatch first, but just to get a spawning pool, drone up a little bit, get some more econ going just on your minerals, no gas, and take a quick expansion. So if you see this gas go down, you know that they aren't going to be trying to expand for a little while, just because you know that once this pool pops, they're going to immediately want to go for that Zergling speed, and then, because if they're getting gas, then you know they're going to want that Zergling speed as soon as they hit that 100 gas mark. So they won't be throwing down any kind of early expansions if you see that gas go down. So always a good tell. You always want to scout that gas. For any player really, Zerg player, Protoss, Terran, no matter what player, you want to scout a gas because the gas can be very, very telling about the style of build that they're going for. Looks like Nerchio did get a probe in there, tried to deny the building of that building for just a little while, and it looks like the Cybernetics core now going down for NightEnD. Looks like he's trying to get a little bit of a wall off here going for his front. Looks like he is preparing a Zealot now, and that Zealot will be out to block that tiny little gap in just a moment. Now, Sumlings have now come out onto the field. Zergling speed not yet going up, but I expect to see it, yes, starting there. It starts just as he hit 100 gas, so very nice timing there by Nerchio. He has now thrown down his expansion, so it looks like he is going to be focusing on just getting them drones, and he's sending a couple of scouting links to the front of NightEnd's base to try to see if there is any kind of fishy two gates going on or anything like that. And the Zerglings managed to slip by. That Zealot was not on hold position, and those Zerglings slip right into the base and are able to get a full scout in this base. He is now seeing that there are two gas geysers down. It looks like he's going to try to get a couple of probe kills in, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ducks back here to just check for any kind of tricky business, check for any kind of Stargate tech or anything like that. But it looks like Nerchio is going to be content to try to take out a probe. As many probes as he can with those two Zerglings as long as he's in that base. That Zealot forced to hold position there, because if he does move, there is always that danger that more Zerglings can come in. I don't think that NightEnD is yet aware of this expansion. Nope, NightEnD does not yet know about that expansion, so as far as he knows, Nerchio could at this point be just getting a lot of Zerglings out and holding him at the front of his base, so he does not want to move that Zealot, so that is a very good decision there by NightEnD, keeping that Zealot there. Warp Gate research now coming down for NightEnD. And it looks like Nerchio is just going to focus right now on going for a very economic style. He knows he's done a little bit of damage with those couple of Zerglings. Managed to get, I think, 2 workers killed. Yes, looks like he got 2 workers killed, so he's currently up by just a tad in that workers killed count. And he's now putting a couple of lings on that Xel'Naga tower. Always good to have. You always want to control the Xel'Naga towers, especially on a map like Metalopolis, where when you hold the Xel'Naga tower, you are basically always aware of the ground forces of your opponent. You will always know what they are trying to do. Zergling speed is now up. Looks like Nerchio tried to get a little bit of a scout off, and it looks like he did manage to scout the front. Didn't see anything other than the front, but there was nothing else up yet to scout. Nothing in the back yet. No hidden tech from NightEnD. Looks like NightEnD right now is just focusing completely on droning up. If we check out the harvester count right now, we can see the harvesters are 26 to 23, favoring Protoss actually. This NightEnD has been chrono boosting his probes quite a bit. I haven't seen any chrono boosts go down yet on this cybernetics core, so it looks like he's focusing completely on getting a lot of probes out, a lot of economy out. In the meantime, he's got a couple of sentries here ready to force field. A lot of Zerglings here coming in from NightEnD, going to try to see if he can force a cancel on that Nexus, and it looks like he might actually be able to get that Nexus and accomplish that feat. But some force fields go down, and I think that is going to deny these Zerglings from doing too much more damage to this Nexus. It is at half health, though, and NightEnD needs to be very careful about what he does here. His sentries are low on energy. That was the last force field that he has. He's going to need to now do as much damage as he can with that Zealot, and those Zerglings getting a good surround on that Nexus, or at least on half of that Nexus. And more gateways have now finished for NightEnD, so it looks like he's going to be warping in some more units, so those Zerglings are going to be forced to retreat now. Looks like they were unable to quite take that Nexus, but they are coming in again, trying to see if they can't sneak in and try to get any stray units, stray probes, do any kind of damage that they can. So nice little poke in there by NightEnD. NightEnD not spreading too much creep right now. He is getting focusing completely on getting those drones up. He's got a lot of drones up, only 2 queens at the moment, so he's not too focused right now on getting any creep spread up. And he has seen, as we saw earlier, that expansion go down, so looks like he's going to keep trying to poke in here, just try to see if NightEnD decided to move any of his units out, try to see if he can get a few probe kills in there for free. But it looks like nothing too extraordinary right now for NightEnD. Looks like he's for now going for a very standard style of play. He has 3 warp gates that are up right now. He has got a Stargate that is now coming up. This is becoming much more standard against Zerg players now to get this fast Stargate up. It's becoming increasingly more common just because those Void Rays can be very good against those Zerg players in the early game, especially because a lot of Zerg players are now going Roaches against Protoss. It's very common. Idra is of course very well known for going very heavy Roach Hydra against Protoss players. It used to be that Zergs didn't like to go Roaches just because Stalkers deal so much damage to those Roaches, but these days it's almost the standard now for Zerg players to go for these Roaches, and it looks like NightEnD is coming in with quite a few forces, a lot of Lings here being rallied in, and all these Roaches trying to push in, but this Void Ray is going to be here to do a lot of damage. I don't know how fast he's going to be able to take down these Roaches, though. These Roaches content to try to take down that Nexus. That Nexus did take a lot of damage earlier, and those now that the force fields have gone down, these Roaches are moving in, and it looks like they're trying to get as many kills on those units as they can. What units that are stuck outside of the force field are trying to focus that Nexus on. That Nexus is about to go down. The Nexus falls. NightEnD gets that Nexus. He has taken out the pylons powering one of these warp gates, so he is currently operating on only 2 warp gates right now. There is a robotics facility up, but it is not getting used at all, and these Lings are getting a lot of damage done to the front of the units at the front here by NightEnD. But that Void Ray did get fully charged and managed to hold off all of those Roaches, so nice little push in there, though, by NightEnD. Looks like a lot of Zerglings now moving in, going to try to get the sneak in, but no, and very nice warp ins there by NightEnD, and hold positions there on those Stalkers. Managed to get a pretty nice wall off there, but those Zerglings finally did slip by, and they are now coming into the main, trying to get some good scouting information in there. Maybe going to try to get a couple of probe kills while they can, and it looks like, yes, they managed to pick up 1 probe kill, and there's still 1 Zergling in there. Looks like he's not going to get another kill off, though, as the Void Rays have arrived. So, NightEnD doing some really good damage there. Denied that second, is now aware that he did a lot of damage, taking a third of his own, just now getting a 3rd gas geyser. Very interesting here for NightEnD, really hoping that this push does a lot of damage, and as we saw already, it did do quite a bit of damage. Still trying to send in a few Zerglings here, trying to deal a little bit of extra damage, but I don't think they are going to be able to do much damage as these Zealots and Void Rays are now up here at the front of the base for NightEnD. NightEnd's going to really throw up another expansion here once he can get some units up, if he's going to want to keep up with the economy of NightEnD. NightEnD is pretty well now on 3 base. He is now saturating his other base. If we check out the harvester count right now, we can see that NightEnD is up 46 to 32 harvesters, so he is up by quite a bit of harvesters. Again, not the greatest creep spread at the moment. If there was one thing I had to be critical about in NightEnd's play right now, it is that creep spread. But like I said, NightEnd is in a very good place. He managed to deal a lot of damage there by taking out that second expansion. Still kind of running around with a lot of Lings, trying to see if he can't sneak in, but that Zealot prevented those Lings from coming in at all. Looks like we do have the proxy pylon now coming up for NightEnd, and it looks like NightEnd's going to try to push in and deal as much damage as he can, but there are so many Roaches and so many Queens here that it looks like these forces are going to be forced back, trying to protect this pylon from from being destroyed there by NightEnD. Looks like he wants to keep those forces up. He wants to keep this pylon here so that he can continually reforce to this place, and sure enough we can see that more sentries are coming in. Another Void Ray coming in, but NightEnD putting a few pretty well-placed Spore Crawlers out here, trying to get as much early damage to those air units as he can. A lot of force coming in here. Nice force fields here by NightEnD. Very, very nice, preventing those forces from coming in, siphoning them into that tiny little narrow choke there, and a lot of kills there going down, but it looks like there are just too many forces here from NightEnD. He is now on his third base, getting that third base saturated, so he is just getting up to just a huge, excellent macro position. And no expansion yet has gone down for NightEnD, so it looks like NightEnD is going to be pushing for the win here. Looks like he's just going to try to go all in on this, as he is now producing a couple more Immortals. No more Void Rays are on the way. He's producing some Immortals to try to combat those Roaches. He's got the Sentries out to try to place down the Force Fields to zone out those Zerglings, and he's got some Zealots to try to deal the damage to those Zerglings. But it looks like the damage has already been... well, not enough damage was done, as a matter of fact, by NightEnD, and NightEnD is just macroing up a storm. This is so many Zerglings and so many Roaches now up. 125 on the food count to NightEnd's 88. Hydralisk Den is now down, and it looks like we will be seeing some Hydralisks here coming out pretty shortly for NightEnD. So NightEnD in a very commanding position. Looks like NightEnD is not in a good position at all. Looks like he is probably not going to be able to take this match unless he can deal a lot of damage. He's going to need to throw down some very good force fields. NightEnD trying to come and see if NightEnD has re-expanded. If he was able to come in and see here, he would see that NightEnD is only on one base and is just going for the all-in right now. This is a very nice little death ball, considering he's just on one base and almost mined out at that base. Looks like he's now moving in. NightEnD sees all the forces of NightEnD. Nice force field there, trapping those Zerglings in, getting a few free Zergling kills there. And NightEnD is going to be pressing in now. No pylon, no forward pylon, so it looks like NightEnD is just going to be warping here onto this low ground. Now moving in, he does have an observer here. He's going to try to be destroying these creep tumors, trying to hold that creep back as well as he can, but holy cow, look at the forces of NightEnD. So many Roaches, so many Zerglings, a lot of Hydralisks and Queens here up on the field, so it looks like he's getting a very nice surround here, but some very nice force fields are going down, preventing all these units in the back from attacking, so only a limited number of units are attacking right now, but the force fields finally go down, and NightEnD is moving in with all his forces, rallying more forces, 7 more Hydralisks on the way. Missile attacks level 2 coming up, but I don't think he's even going to need that because these forces are just getting cleaned up, and NightEnD is going to be forced to GG here. He is stuck on one base, so very well played by NightEnD. Very nice. Took out that expansion there with that little sneak attack. Did a lot of early damage with Zerglings, and then just was able to finish it off with all those Roaches. So very well played there by NightEnD. Did some damage and then just sat back and macroed up till he got his third up and just macroed and waited for NightEnD to press in with his own forces and knew that he would be able to out-macro his opponent in the long-term game. And when NightEnD finally did push, NightEnD was able to just clean up that attack force with ease. So well played there by NightEnD. I'm hoping to see more of him. Like I said, I've been seeing more and more of him coming up in tournaments and things. So I'm assuming we can expect to see a lot more from NightEnD. NightEnD already a kind of well-known player. I have heard of him before. So, very well-played game by both players. NightEnD takes the win. And that is Glitch out.